Hi, this is John from G-Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be doing an overview and a sort of closer look at some Primochill products. Today we're going to take a peek at the CTR Reservoir, the rigid acrylic tubing and the fittings, and also a flow meter. Due to some technical difficulties, my hard drive has recently gone to silicon heaven, which means I don't have the original unboxing video for the reservoir or the flow meter, so I'm just going to have to piece something together to try and get a bit of a closer look and an understanding of the product. At this time, all I've got left is the original packaging here, which is a really simple card tube, and on the front it's really easy and sort of clear to identify what model you've got. On the left you've got the different sizes, which are 80mm, 120mm, 240, and all the way up to an epic size of 400mm. The different colours are clear, the UV red / pink, UV blue, UV green, a frosted, the blood red, which is what we've got today, or a yellow. So yeah, as I said, I haven't got the original footage, so I'm just going to piece something together with some stills. If you're not interested in that, I'll leave a mark at it to indicate where you can just skip forward to. Essentially, this is the sample I've got. After some issues with cracks and different things, but still we will take a closer peek. I've pieced together the included parts, which are the sort of legs or support feet, whatever you want to call them. If you've just watched the still part of the video, you'll know that there are some included screws, so you can go ahead and mount that. I suppose the clue's in the name, CTR. It's actually a compression type reservoir, and by that you've got your 4 sort of Allen keyholes at the top, and the system works using an O-ring, which means when you buy this, no matter what size you go for, you can remove the top or the bottom, and you can cut this to size, or you can turn the attachments and have your fittings in different directions. So despite the issues I've had, it's been a solid product in terms of being innovative. The compression fitting on the top is a really smart idea on Primochill's part. The included feet, really simple, you know, that they're nothing new or exciting, they're pretty standard stuff. I do like the amount of options you've got in terms of sort of fittings, different ports. You know, you get to run a lot of different configurations with this type of product. The colour and overall quality of the sample we had, we didn't have any issues sort of from the start. Included in the box, you know, it was really well packed, so it's not a bad product at all. However, I've had some issues with it cracking, which I've tried to investigate, and originally with it being 240mm, I cut considerably past the crack mark, thinking it was a one-off, but then it cracked at the other side. So unfortunately I haven't got a full length sample to show today, but you know, this is the real world. You know, this is how it happens. Products aren't 100% perfect. Things do go wrong, but I've just, you know, down to time issues and different things, I've had to just go ahead and produce this video today. I've been sat on the product for a while, and I kind of need to clear the log. So you'll have probably noticed this sort of fitting here, which I'm going to go into more detail. Obviously it's not your standard barb fitting. I'm going to move on to those now. and tie that in with the tubing. So same sort of situation. It wasn't a very exciting video to start with, but you know, I had a very simple unboxing video of what you get in the Primochill rigid acrylic tubing kit, but essentially it's the same sort of deal. You get them in these sort of card tubes. They're identified as, you know, with the colour here. This is the 4x24 inch version. I believe you can actually get a single 36 inch length, and there was 4 tubes all sort of wrapped and protected, and they have been used in a build, and essentially all I've got left now are some random bits and pieces, which okay, so as I said, you know, it comes in a straight rigid length, but when we first received these, we did not get this key piece of kit included, so we had to get a bit creative and just tried different household items, different things to try and get the bends, but nothing would really work, as you can see from sort of these sort of bends. What we're using sort of different electrical cords and things, and everything we tried just kept sort of giving me issues. Finally, the silicone insert appeared in the UK, and I managed to pick that up from Special Tech UK, and it's, you know, it's a very obvious product here. Just sort of slide that in into the tubing, use your heat gun, and you make your bend. Primochill have got their own sort of brief video on how to do the bends. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You essentially want to heat it up to the point where it's got flex, and it really is a trial and error type of product, because it was my son who tried it first, and you know, you just, if you never work with this sort of thing, you know, it's just guesswork, and you end up with, you know, burn marks and, you know, not very good bends, that sort of thing. This other one's here again. The camera might not be picking it up too well, but this is just done with a piece of electrical cord. You know, we've got some sort of thinning of the tube in there, but I'll just grab another piece. Hopefully the camera will pick it up better. This is, you know, this one's done with the proper bending cord. It's a little bit better. It's a bit of a, you know, random piece, but again, you can see the issues here where it's been overheated or different things. So I'll leave the link to Primochill's own video. But as I said, it's really a trial and error product. My son tried for a bit. We actually ran out of length pretty quickly, because we're in the UK and we're facing issues with getting the parts to us in time, and also to stock. We just went and bought some from the UK, which again, it was hard to get a hold of. That length didn't go very far because we're having lots of problems with it. But now that he's got the experience behind him, and I've tried a few bends, I would be more comfortable in being able to judge the amount of tubing I need, because, you know, for every one length that you go to make, there's going to be so much cut off and filed down, and, you know, it doesn't go as far as you think it would. Compared to, you know, your standard tubing, you can mock it up and put it in place, and you can flex it into your system, whereas this is, it's really guesswork, some of it. So there's not really much I can say about the tubing itself, other than it was well packed. Obviously, when we first tried some bends, we didn't have the bending cord, so, you know, the error was on our part. We weren't using it the way the manufacturer wanted it to do, but we'll just sort of try to get a bit creative. With the actual bending cord, it's so much easier. You know, the tube would not fold over onto itself and give these sort of not very good bends. I mean, it's not just from a look perspective, you know, these are going to restrict your flow completely, which is another thing. When my son had these sort of bends in his system, quite a lot of them, obviously it was very restricting on the floor. I'm just going to grab some fittings and show you sort of how they work. I mean, he has one of the fittings in place, and this is an issue I ran into a few times when I was trying to help Connor out, was that, you know, they'd actually get completely stuck onto them. I know when Primochill put the video up, they'll try to be very clear about how sort of rigid these are and how well they grip, and they were not kidding. You know, I'm putting 100% force behind that, and that is not going anywhere. You know, once they're on there, they're a really good system. So I'm just going to grab a few bits and pieces and show you how they work. This water block, as you can see, the inlet outlets are very, very close together, and I've only just got one fitting in there just now. And I've actually tried to place another one, if I can just grab one and show you, because it was an issue on this block and another. Okay, so I mean, this block was even worse. This is a Phobia UC1LT block, and when I've put these two fittings into the water block, I'm going to really struggle to get the caps on. I can get one on, but the next one, you know, it just wasn't happening. So bear in mind, if you are going to use these fittings, they are quite big. I'm just going to take these off and sort of show you how they work. It's a really, really simple system, but you know, once it's on there, it doesn't go anywhere. Basically, you know, if you've got your length of tubing, you would first put your cap over the top like such, and then you would put an O-ring over, and then your fitting, you know, whether this being your raise, your radiator, that sort of thing, you've got your O-ring on this side. It just slots on. You push everything together and just tighten it up. And once it's on there, you know, it doesn't budge at all. It's a really sort of simple system. I mean, the only issue we had is perhaps sometimes when we want to take them off before changing the loop or filling, they would get really tight and stuck. You've got this slight issue about them being so big. With some water blocks, you know, they're going to be really close together. The block that he had in his system was EK water blocks, you know, and you can see there's a considerable gap between the inlet outlet, so he didn't have any issues with his block, but that's something worth keeping in mind. So yeah, it's a really, really simple and clever system, the fittings. I know since receiving these, there's been some sneak sort of peeks at upcoming fittings, but my initial thoughts are they all still look quite big, so they're probably still going to be prone to this sort of compatibility issue, if you like. The final piece to look at is a flow meter. Okay, so this is the flow meter, and I've got the same sort of issue. I've lost the original file, but I'll leave you a few stills after this explanation, so you can go ahead and see what the original packaging looked like, that sort of thing. It's a really, really simple product. You know, you've got sort of 3 different points here, here, and here. So you can have, you know, your liquid going straight through, and you could also use this as a fill or a drain port if you wanted to do so. The 2 screws are used on the bracket. The one big sort of issue I had with this was, I don't think the camera will pick it up very well. Yeah, you can see the wheel actually sort of sits up against the wall. I was quite surprised to see there's no washers or fitment sat between it. You know, you can see it's squashed up against the wall. I didn't really stop it working, but I thought perhaps there should have been something in there. It was quite a handy piece of Connor's build. It was actually used to fill and drain, that sort of thing. I'm hoping that the stills that I'm going to leave after will show. In terms of build quality, well, quite disappointed. You know, it wasn't scratched or scuffed up or anything like that. The overall finish wasn't too bad, but there's definitely sort of rooms for improvements, particularly with the threads. The first set of fittings that we tried to put in there were very reluctant to go in. So yeah, I'm gonna have to mark that one down on finish. And just coming back to the reservoir again, it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't sort of the worst neither. It was a bit of a mixed bag. But in terms of innovation, this is a really clever product. I didn't have much luck with the compression side of it. I found it to be a bit fiddly. But that aside, if you're just going to buy it and use it out of the box, it's certainly not a bad product at all. The fittings and the tubing, obviously, the issues with the tubing, lays with experience. When my son had a try at first attempt, it was very much guesswork, judging how fast to make the bends, how hot to get the tubing before. So if you are going to use this product, I would certainly suggest buying a little bit extra so you can get some practice done and that sort of thing, because there was a lot of filing and cutting and millimeter changes here and there that add up to quite a lot of tubing. So yeah, the fittings, I can't fault them because they're extremely clever and they work, but we ran into this compatibility issue with 2 out of 3 water blocks. So that is again something to consider before you go for them. You know, I do like what they're offering, but I do think there is room for improvement, definitely with quality control from the samples what we've took a look at today. You know, from what we've read and seen elsewhere, everyone seems to be quite happy with them. So yeah, that about wraps up the video. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, hit the subscribe button and the like button to let me know. Obviously leave any feedback in the comment section.